Welcome to the Retirement Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Greg Gonzalez. My goal for the podcast is to help you live a better life in retirement by giving you the tools and information you need in a language that you can understand. Every week, we try to bring up topics and discuss them that might help you plan for a more successful and enjoyable retirement. Some things that are maybe not talked about or maybe unknown to a lot of our listeners out there. During the week, I am a financial advisor in St. Louis, Missouri, and part owner of St. Louis Retirement Advisors, where we help people not only in St. Louis, but across the country make smart decisions, smart choices with their retirement money and their retirement decisions. So I actually had someone this week that wanted me to talk about HSAs, which are health savings accounts, on this next episode of the Retirement Made Easy podcast. So that's what we're going to do. Today, we're going to talk about HSAs, how we feel about them, how they might be beneficial to you in your own retirement, and where they can be really, really useful. So that's going to be today's episode of the Retirement Made Easy podcast, is talking about HSAs and what you can learn that you may not already know about them. Before we get into today's content, I wanted to remind listeners to check out our website, retirementmadeeasypodcast.com. That's retirementmadeeasypodcast.com. There you can check out previous episodes. You can download free resources. One I would point out to you is our retirement secret sauce. So you can download that right on the website. So let's just jump right into today's topic. Again, a client, a listener, wanted me to discuss HSAs, health savings accounts, on an episode where they could learn more about them and where we see them useful, really. So HSAs, health savings accounts, what are they? Well, they are a way for you to put tax-deductible funds into an account that is earmarked for future health expenses that might be down the road. A lot of employers offer HSAs, which is extremely convenient for those people that have an HSA through work because they can contribute right through their paycheck, goes through payroll. And these people, for a family in 2021, you can contribute up to $7,100, I believe. If you're over 55, they allow you a catch-up of an additional $1,000 per year. And if your spouse happens to be over 55, he or she can contribute another $1,000 to their own HSA, which is super nice. So for a lot of people that know they're going to have medical bills or copays in the future because of a surgery or whatever it may be, an HSA is a great way to put money aside, tax deductible, knowing that, okay, this money is earmarked for future medical expenses. And by medical expenses, what do we mean? What can HSAs be used to pay for? Well, here's a short list for you. Office visit copayments. It could be health insurance deductibles. That's the most common we see is health insurance deductibles. Dental expenses, vision care, whether it's an eye exam or a new set of eyeglasses, prescription drugs and insulin, Medicare premiums down the road once you qualify for Medicare. It might be hospital or physical therapy bills or x-rays. An HSA can be used for all of these things. So if you're expecting to have surgery in the future, a lot of people are utilizing these HSAs so the money's there that they can put the money in tax deductible and use it down the road whenever those expenses occur. I think we can all agree that overall medical costs, whether it be from surgeries or medical care in general, is on the rise. So it's important that we save and kind of plan for those expenses because they only keep going higher and higher, just kind of like college tuition costs seem to go just up and up and up. Now, I wanted to discuss another popular conversation with HSAs is that the money that you have in them, you have the ability to invest the funds within the HSA. A lot of HSAs allow you to invest in mutual funds. Now, you can keep your money very conservative, so you have very little risk, if any, of loss, right? Or you can say, okay, I want to invest the money in the HSA and I want it to grow for years and years. So I want long-term growth out of my HSA dollars. And you can invest those in nice growth mutual funds. And a lot of times the HSA will have a menu for you to select from. So this is just my opinion, but if you foresee yourself using the funds in the short term, so within 5 years, I would be of the opinion that you might want to be more conservative with those dollars and not take as much risk with the mutual funds and how you're investing. However, if you foresee yourself using the funds long term, maybe in 5 years or greater, then you can go for more growth with some of those mutual funds because the money that grows in your HSA is all tax deferred. And when it comes out, it's essentially tax free as long as it's used for medical care, like the expenses that we mentioned a couple minutes ago. We even have some clients that are thinking about their HSA as very, very long-term planning. So they are saying that, okay, the money that they're putting in their HSA, they're investing for long-term growth. So these people may be late 50s, let's say, and they are saying the money we're putting in there is tax deductible now. We're going to invest this money over the long term. And then let's say when we're in our 80s and we need nursing care, maybe in-home care, maybe it's in a memory care, some kind of long-term care, they can use their HSA money to pay for those expenses. So that's an awesome way to also utilize your HSA. And just think about it. As we all get older, the more and more medical expenses we have, right? So people in their 60s don't have as many medical expenses, generally speaking, as someone in their 70s. Same thing with someone in their 80s. So not only are medical costs in general going up, but your medical costs tend to go up as you get older just because you need more, maybe doctor's visits or care. So having that money in an HSA that keeps growing for you over the years can always be utilized for medical care, medical needs by taking tax-free withdrawals out of it in the future, which is pretty awesome. And just like an IRA, an individual retirement account, you'll want to have a beneficiary on your HSA. Maybe it's your spouse or other loved ones, but just in case something happens to you, we want to have someone on there as a beneficiary of that account so the money can then transfer over to someone else should something happen to you. But here's a key benefit of the HSAs. Whereas IRAs have, once you hit age 72, individual retirement accounts have what's called an RMD, or required minimum distribution, that essentially says you need to begin mandatory withdrawals or distributions from your IRA once you hit age 72. The same rule does not apply to HSAs. If you don't have medical expenses that you want the HSA to pay, the HSA funds are just there and they just keep rolling over and growing however you have them invested. So there's no mandatory required withdrawals or distributions from HSAs. They can literally keep growing for you in there tax deferred. Another question that I hear a lot about HSAs is, I guess I had quite a few people say to me, oh, well, I heard an HSA is kind of use it or lose it. And they're mistaking an HSA for an FSA, a flexible spending account. So I'd like to make that clear. An HSA is money that's yours forever. It's portable and it's yours. It's not use it or lose it type of thing that you hear often with an FSA. So there's a big difference there. Now, why am I such a proponent of HSAs, health savings accounts? Well, there's a lot of research out there, and one study or survey in particular was a recent one done by Fidelity Investments. It was called Retirement Healthcare Cost Survey, which essentially looked at a couple who turned 65, what their lifetime cost of healthcare would be throughout retirement. So in 2019, their lifetime cost of healthcare was $285,000. In 2020, the survey said that this couple, the 65-year-old couple's average cost of healthcare for the rest of their lives was $295,000, up $10,000 since 2019. So there's a lot of things in life that we can't control. We can't control what taxes are going to be like in the future. We can't control how much healthcare costs go up throughout our retirement. But one thing we can control and plan for is how much money we fund in an HSA between now and retirement. You can contribute to an HSA through your 65th birthday, when you become eligible for Medicare. So if we just think about these HSAs, okay, we can fund an HSA, get a tax deduction for doing so, knowing that all of these studies are telling us that medical costs continue to go up and up and up year after year. And for most people, as we get older, we utilize more medical care. So for a lot of people, HSAs are kind of a win-win. So where do we see HSAs being used? In what capacity? Well, in our experience, for a lot of people that are retiring early or retiring before age 65, let's say, before they're eligible for Medicare, they might have COBRA health insurance through their employer for 18 months or 36 months for their spouse. Maybe they'll have Obamacare or they'll have private health insurance until they get to age 65, kind of to bridge that gap between retirement and age 65 when they can jump on Medicare. So for those people, they are pre-funding their HSAs, knowing that for those years between retirement and age 65, they're going to need that HSA to help pay for those big healthcare costs. And typically, when I mean big health insurance costs, it's the health insurance deductibles. It's also co-payments and things like that. So a lot of these folks are kind of planning ahead because they know, hey, it's going to cost me a little extra as far as health insurance goes. By retiring early before 65, I'm starting the good life, but from a health insurance perspective, it might be costing me more or much, much more than if I continued to work through age 65. But I'm okay with that because I have the HSA to help bridge that gap. I've had a lot of people that also say, well, gosh, I would hate to die with money left in my HSA. That's not really a concern of mine, or it shouldn't be for many people if they're married or if they have someone as a beneficiary, because someone can always use the funds if they would inherit your HSA. Again, it's just like an IRA. So you don't have to worry about what if those funds are never used before your death. Well, it just goes to somebody else. And I don't know about you, but HSAs are kind of one of those things that your medical expenses just always seem to go up. I don't know about you, but when I go to my eye doctor, it always costs me more every year because they raise their prices, they raise their costs. So if you're one of those people that happens to agree with me that medical costs, medical expenses are going to continue to rise over time, they're going to be more expensive in 2022 than they were in 2021, then HSAs are probably a good idea to start saving for those future expenses. And not only that, you're getting a tax break for doing so. And let me just say, in my experience with my own HSA and with clients that have their HSAs, they tell me stories they have a debit card that is linked to their HSA account, and they can just swipe that, whether it's at the doctor's office, at the pharmacy, wherever it might be. And it's very, very convenient to use the money in the HSA. And really, most hospitals or doctor's offices, pharmacies, they actually really like you using the HSAs. They're extremely common, and really they feel they're a great tool. So if you haven't reached Medicare eligible age, you can contribute to an HSA even when you're not working. So HSAs are just another tool that are out there to help you in retirement. Oftentimes, we are recommending them to clients to fund their HSA or max it out before the end of the year. I know a lot of CPAs out there recommend to their clients the utilization of HSAs, health savings accounts. So I would encourage you to check out, get more information on an HSA. Can you contribute to it? Does it make sense for your own financial situation? So ask your financial planner or maybe your CPA to have a discussion about your HSA and what your plans are for it for the future. I've had people that have tens of thousands of dollars in HSAs, and they haven't invested their HSA in any kind of mutual fund. They have just left it in the money market. And that might be a mistake for a lot of people, because if that money can grow for you, tax deferred, and grow and grow and grow, and then you can use those funds and take distributions tax-free to help with your medical bills, that's a win-win. But if you don't allow them to grow over time by keeping them too conservative, that might not be the best idea for you. So HSAs are just another arrow in the quiver, so to speak, or a tool that can help you as you navigate your own retirement. And when they're utilized properly, they can have some huge advantages, just like we've talked about today on today's podcast. I hope today's discussion has been beneficial to you. I hope you've learned a thing or two about HSAs. And if you have any questions, visit our website, which is retirementmadeeasypodcast.com. If you have any questions, at the bottom of the website, you can always submit your question, and I'd be happy to help answer any way I can. Until next time, remember, always dream big. The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, please consult your attorney, tax advisor, or financial advisor prior to investing. This is a hypothetical example and is not representative of any specific investment. Your results may vary. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices mentioned are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. The SmartVestor program is a directory of investment professionals. Neither Dave Ramsey nor SmartVestor are affiliates of St. Louis Retirement Advisors or LPL Financial. There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.